Hello, beautiful people of the internet. Welcome back to the Games and Culture Podcast, episode 28.
Think so. I think you're right. I think it's 28.
28. You would think that I would just look this up, but it's just so much more fun to just randomly guess. Let me
I'm
know in the
fairly certain you're
comments if
right.
I was right. I will already have known because I'll have to, make the title and put the description and stuff. But let me know if I was right in the comments below. Here with another couple weeks of news. Uh, Spoiler alert: there will be layoffs in this episode. So if you have a deep aversion to layoffs, continue watching because we need you to watch. But there's stuff after layoffs, promise. I think that's going to be a trend of every single episode
hmm
this year, probably. Wow, that's sad to think
Everything
about.
is going. Everything is going down in flames.
Yep. So grab your favorite game and your favorite console and just ride it out. That's or buy a Steam Deck and put a dozen of your favorite games on it and ride it out. You can do that too. But before we get into all of the news, Nick, what have you been playing? I already know the answer, but what have you been playing?
I mean, Silent Hill 2 still. I'm working my way through it.
Fabulous.
Um,
Which
I,
means
I'm. I don't know.
which means the game of the year video possibly will be coming because I'm also working through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The last
I
games
mean,
that we've decided.
I'll be done with it within probably the next week or so, if that.
I'm shooting to be done with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in the next week as well. I think I'm approaching the end ish, maybe. There's just
I
no
mean,
way
when
of
I.
knowing because I know the story of Final Fantasy,
hmm
but this part in particular has changed up a lot of the orderings of things and stuff. So it's it's a little just hard to tell where I am. Like, for instance, this isn't a spoiler for you or anything like that, so don't worry, or anybody out there. But like, you go to Gongaga before you go to Cosmo Canyon,
Hmm.
which you pretty much go to Cosmo Canyon right after Casa del Sol and the Golden Saucer. So they're changing things up. It works from a narrative standpoint. The Gongaga section was pretty cool and had some heavy story beats, but like still, so it's like I don't know where I am to tell you whether or not I'm towards the end. Plus, it's so dense and all of the side shit you have to do to keep up with the level that you need to be to tackle the main story stuff. So like for instance, where I'm at right now, I'm only 2 levels higher than what the recommended level I should be for the next story beat. And I've done everything in the game. Aside
That.
from revisiting the Golden Saucer to take part in more mini games there. That's the only thing I haven't done because I can't do it.
That's
Um,
that's the that's the problem I have with it to an extent. Is they're so dense. It's so dense.
it's so dense for the wrong reasons. I've said this multiple times while playing it, but there's just too many damn mini games.
I mean, I'm not like super like everything's gotta be like Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring type of thing. But so I like the Horizon games a lot. But I felt that when I opened the map of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and I saw the icons everywhere, I'm just like, oh, this isn't all of them either. I'm just like, oh
Well,
god, this is gonna be long.
what irks me about it, slight mini review for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I guess, but like what irks me about it the most is like every new section of the game has like 4 or 5 at least mini games. So like the hunting the special variants of the monsters, the proto relic like mini storyline to reach Gilgamesh, getting the towers, all of that stuff is fine to do because all of it takes very little time. But then there's all of these mini games. Like in Cosmo Canyon, there's a chocobo gliding mini game that you have to do 3 times to finish the side quest that it's a part of. And it's like, why am I doing this? What does this
That's
have
rough.
to do with Final Fantasy? I don't know who at Square Enix, I don't know what Tetsuya Nomura was smoking, but the amount of fucking mini games in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I think this might be hyperbole, but I think there's some truth in it. There's almost more mini games in this single game than probably the first fucking Mario Party.
God damn.
I'm not shitting you.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's. I mean, I'm Final Fantasy 16's side quests weren't very good, but I'm kind of glad they didn't go whole hog like 7 Rebirth did, because at least you could get back to the game itself of the story.
Yeah.
I feel like the problem with Rebirth is just they're doing so much other side quest stuff that this main plot is just getting like it's just stopping and starting. There's
If
no momentum with it.
all of the mini games were cut out except for the golden saucer ones, this game would shave off at least 20 hours, and I think it would be a tighter experience for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the golden saucer ones, I totally understand, because those were in the original. That's an iconic part of the game.
And it's like a theme park type area, so it makes sense.
Yes. But why am I fucking gliding chocobos in the middle of Cosmo Canyon? You know? I understand the minigame of like sneaking up to the chocobo to capture it. That makes sense to me. That's fine. I don't give a shit about that. But like, then why am I fucking using it for fucking like
Yeah,
it just
crazy.
it destroys the pacing of the game. It destroys. I literally like I get to a new area and I'm like going through all the side shit first before going to the next story beat. And so I like literally my mind just turns the fuck off as I'm just wandering around, getting the towers, unlocking more of the map, fighting the enemies, whoop-de-doo, like, and it just takes away so much of the great things about the game.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of also why I kind of threw it out of my running for game of the year. Why I'm not going to bother even playing it, because I just know it would be a pointless endeavor, because I feel like that problem would actually just make it drop out of the top 10 regardless.
Well, I'm not willing to say that because the gameplay is
No,
still fantastic.
no, that's fine. You're really into Final Fantasy, but I just
more
know
than
what
just Cloud and Tifa this time.
I know.
Red's fucking awesome.
But my point was though, I just know what a general deal was gonna be my top 10, and I think
Yeah.
everything else would beat it anyway. So it's
I
not
just-
worth it to me to.
My thing is like I was like, surely I'm not the only person that's complained about the fucking mini games. And I read some reviews for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. No, most people didn't. Most people had nothing to say bad. Like
online sentiment seemed like that was an issue versus the reviewers. But yeah, no, I this is the first time I felt in a game where the open world like icon fatigue just set in. I'm like, oh god, why?
Yeah, like I said, if they just removed the mini games, like I think this game would be, like I said, 20 hours shorter and more succinct. And it's not a bad thing. Like I don't understand what the fascination with bloat is, especially in a single player game, because like me staying in the game is not going to make you any more money since it's a single player one and done experience. Bloating like a live service game makes sense because you want the player to stay in the game longer so that they are more incentivized to buy things. But like why are you trapping me in this game for fucking 70 hours and 20 of it was fucking mini games? But
the live services though, we have both been playing Marvel Rivals again. The game, the train that don't stop.
Yes, and the new season starts in a week.
Well,
so
mid-season.
Well,
mid-season,
that's right. Yeah, mid-season. Sorry. It just feels like a new season because we're getting a new map and 2 more characters.
See, here's the thing.
I don't think I've updated you on my rank climb. I did make it to gold 3, and then promptly lost it.
Hey, that's all that matters. You got there, so you get the invisible one.
Stay there. You have to stay there.
No, you said your rewards for what the highest rank you got.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that's what it said. You get the highest rank you achieved.
I thought it said if you stay there.
No, I didn't see that.
Regardless,
did make some changes to the rank system, which I think are good. They're not resetting everyone's rank at the mid-season rank anymore, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah,
6 weeks to sort, and then they're also, because of the people were cramming to try and get the visible one skin, they said they're not going to do that now. She will be available to get into the next part of the season too. It's when the full season resets.
That they'll do the rank reset. Yep.
Yeah, which I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's totally fair. It falls in line with how other games do it. And it also just really speaks to the devs over there at NetEase just straight up just listening to the fans. They said it,
Mhm.
and not even like 12 hours later, they already like they listened to the fans, and Nettie's pulled back and was like, okay, all right, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I have some other issues with how the rank system's set up, but I don't. Those issues can't be remedied mid-season. So I'm curious if they're gonna try and remedy them at season beginning, because again, how fast they act on a lot of these issues, is I'm pretty impressed. Because I mean, compared to Overwatch, and it takes years for them to respond to anything.
Well, speaking of Overwatch, I guess we could cover this too.
Yeah.
Overwatch had a big announcement this week, trying to bring back some players from from Marvel Rivals. It's no secret how successful Marvel Rivals is. Let's check in on the old Steam DB page for Marvel Rivals. 276,000 players playing right now. So crazy numbers all the time. Yeah, on this week they announced in an Overwatch 2 spotlight the next phase for Overwatch to try to bring back people. Is it 6v6? No, they're still quote unquote testing that.
I mean, they announced that it's like a 6v6 competitive rank mode. Just like, dog, just put back in the game,
6v6
dog. We all know it works.
So 6v6 is coming to ranked, and they're what they're doing is making 6v6 like a game mode, and they're like choosing some famous metas to make it. So right now in the game is the Moth meta, where Mercy's res was on a super low cooldown. And so in season 15, when all this stuff goes live for the most part, they're gonna do 6v6 goats. Everybody's favorite.
Because everyone wanted that back.
But into some of the bigger changes, aside from just laughing at the fact that they're bringing back goats. And you know what's after goats though? Double shield, which again is everybody's favorite. That one was my favorite, but anyways. So the biggest thing is a new perks system coming to the game. And so throughout the game, you level up. Like in a single match, you level up your character, and the first time you level up, you get to choose a minor perk, which like maybe buffs an ability or lowers some cooldowns, those kind of things. And then after you level up again, you get a major perk that fundamentally changes how your character interacts with the game. So for instance, Orisa's perk, she has that javelin spin to block damage. One of her perks is that you can replace the javelin spin with her old shield that she throws down. And her other perk with her javelin toss, instead of it just being regular javelin toss, you can charge it and it will do more knockback and actually pierce through people. This gives the game a little bit more agency, because the player can change up their playstyle depending on what they're facing in the game, which is cool. Flat out, as a former Overwatch diehard, it's cool.
It's not a bad concept, and I find it funny that some of these perks are just their old moves again.
A lot of the perks are their old moves. One of Hanzo's major perks is his storm arrows then turn into scatter arrows. And one of Reaper's perks is, in addition to the lifesteal off of his standard fire, his souls come back too that he can pick up for extra health as well. A lot of the perks are their former selves.
I heard about that, which, I mean, like, the soul orb thing, I'm just kind of like, okay, yes, but that's inferior to the lifesteal.
Yes. But combined, it might be effective.
Combined might be effective, but like the lifesteal was that wasn't a bad change they gave him. That's made him more of a terror. Is Mercy's res like being her ult one of the perks?
So there have been many videos about all of them, all the perks. I have not watched them. To see all of them. I only know a couple of the examples that they showed in the actual mode. I'm assuming that Mercy's probably have to do with some res and some other stuff, because there's not much else to her kit. I do know one Mercy perk, and it's that her, just when you use her beams normally, they go to another player. So they add a player to the stream, basically. I do know that is one of her perks.
That's still pretty busted.
I don't know if it's a major or a minor one, but that is one. So let's get into some more changes.
Oh no! I mean, it's a pretty creative thing. I don't know how it's gonna work. It's very MOBA-esque.
Yes.
but it almost like you're kind of playing with fire. This is either can go really well or really bad.
Well, so I think I think overall it is pretty cool. It will draw back people to the game when season 15
Yeah.
launches. I believe it's not next week, but the week after.
Hmm.
But here's the problem. Blizzard has never been good at balancing this game.
Oh no.
Like literally them introducing Brigida to change up the game, changed up the game into goats, and then they couldn't solve the problem for a year,
Which
resulting in the roll queue system and this whole snowball effect that eventually ended up in Overwatch 2. So
I think
you're adding more variables that you have to balance now.
I also think it's good. What kind of segue into another thing they are adding in finally. They're adding hero bands finally,
Yes.
which is
Hero
again
bands comes to competitive in season 15, and then they're also adding map voting, and that's coming at a later point.
yeah. But the hero band stuff, like again, that was the solution to your problem years ago with Brigida. Yes,
And
Brigida
well,
would have been.
they straight up said that they couldn't do it, that they didn't want to do it because it would affect the player's ability to like change strategy and stuff like that. But then you have Overwatch, then you have Marvel Rivals do it, implement it
Off rip.
perfectly, and suddenly they could do hero bans.
Yeah, they always could have done hero bands. They just didn't want to, and I paid the price for it because that was
Yes.
the solution to the problem. It was the
Unlike
easiest
Marvel
solution.
Rivals, though, hero bands will be at all ranks. It won't just be
Okay.
Diamond Plus like in Marvel Rivals.
Yeah. But regardless, what would have happened immediately is Brigida would have been instant banned, and that kills goats immediately.
Yep. 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 Taking another thing from Marvel Rivals, they're putting a new game mode in place called Stadium. It is a third person mode. And it
Oh,
takes yes, it's a third person mode. Best of 7 rounds. It kind of plays out a little bit like Valorant, or where after every round you get currency that you can use for different buffs and stuff like that to your characters. Um, and like I said, it's completely um, in third person. Not all of the heroes will be available at launch for Stadium. It'll be 14, and that launches with season 16. That won't be the next one, but yeah. Um, so Stadium's the third person kind of Valorant ish mode. So
interesting.
yep, stealing
That
lots of stuff from that. They announced a couple new heroes. The first one is a huntress named Freya. She's very cute. It hails out of, I believe it's Switzerland. I think, but yeah, she's a former search and rescue hero. But she's not, but turned into a bounty hunter. She has a crossbow and a lot of like movement abilities. She will be a DPS character. She looks very cool. She will join Overwatch 2 in season 16. But they announced that there will be a free trial weekend for her in sometime in season 15, which I think is kind of cool. Um, for people to kind of get their hands on her. Also provides the Blizzard a balancing opportunity before fucking she comes
leaking
out
her.
and is super broken. They also announced the next hero after that. It's a Chinese hero codenamed Aqua. His name is not revealed yet, but he straight up just looks like a waterbender. So if that's your thing. And in probably the most stunning announcement of the Overwatch announcements, they are bringing back loot boxes.
How
We've
much you
come
have to,
full circle, people.
how much do you have to fuck up to make people want loot boxes back? Like
Yeah.
genuinely want loot boxes back.
Yes. So loot boxes. In the past, every time you leveled up, you got a loot box. This time, since the level up system is no longer available, the battle pass system is what they moved towards. You can earn loot boxes in battle passes, but also while completing weekly and event reward missions. So they're probably going to hand them out pretty frequently. Um, and pretty much they didn't really put a cap on what you can receive out of it. So anything in the game, you can pretty much receive out of these loot boxes. They released the odds. The odds look pretty similar to what they were in Overwatch 1. So and then there will be you can earn up to 3 legendary loot boxes, which guarantees 1 legendary item in them. You can earn up to 3 of those from buying the battle pass. So yeah. uh Overwatch trying to bring some sauce to try to pull people away from Marvel Rivals. I definitely do not think that Blizzard expected Marvel Rivals to be such a force.
No. I mean, obviously, some of this stuff, a lot of this stuff was worked on ahead of time. You can't do a whole new mode in 2 months.
Yeah.
But Hero Bands, that was Marvel Rivals. You can do that in less than 2 months. That's not hard at all. The characters seem interesting, I guess. I mean, all this stuff seems interesting, but the stadium thing, cool idea, but it's just gonna be people to think of. And I was thinking, as you were mentioning it, you could have used that development time just to do the PvE mode that you all promised.
Well, so it looks like, if I'm being honest, some of the perks and some of the abilities that you get in the stadium mode probably were from that PvE mode. Because remember, the PvE mode, you got to customize the way that your character played within a certain parameters. So I wonder how much of that was holdovers from the canceled PvE stuff.
I mean, it's possible,
quite a
but
lot.
I'm assuming quite a lot. It's a fair assumption, but again, why not just do the PvE stuff as was promised? Again, all this stuff sounds okay, but the reality is it's unfortunate. It's too little, too late. That's the reality. It's too little, too late. It will help alleviate some of the bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
But Marvel Rivals is the king of the hero shooter now.
Yeah, and I think this also illustrates a fundamental misunderstanding as to why players have flocked to Marvel Rivals, right?
Mm-hmm.
The balancing system, arguably, is a little wonky in Marvel Rivals, but it makes the game fun. I played Overwatch a couple days ago just because I had like a few minutes and I had a friend that wanted to play like a couple rounds. And it feels so bad to play Marvel Rivals all week and then play a couple rounds of Overwatch. The game feels so slow, so sluggish. The rounds feel longer than they need to be. And at this point, I feel like a lot of Overwatch's personality has been kind of fizzled out. And so
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch is just, I mean, Marvel Rivals is just a better looking, better playing, more fun package now that I couldn't imagine myself going back to Overwatch full time, maybe around here or there, but like it's just not as fun anymore. And so I think
Nope.
all these changes just kind of miss the point of Marvel Rivals is fun. They're making cosmetic content on par with the Overwatch art team. It's based on an IP that I absolutely care about. Gameplay that's really, really fun. And it's still growing. It's still evolving. It's only going to get better from here. Versus Overwatch, I don't see how it's going to get better from here. So as long as Marvel Rivals keeps the characters coming out, keeps the maps coming out, keeps everything a high quality, which clearly they are. They just released 2 Valentine's Day skins. Um, you know, wedding set for Sue Storm and Reed Richards, and then, like, just on face value, that's a perfect Valentine's Day skin line. But then you're like, oh wait, it's also to commemorate the 60th anniversary of when they actually fucking got married in the comics. And so there's always an extra layer of depth and care with the Marvel Rivals stuff because it is based on this existing IP and a huge one at that.
Well, one of the things you care about the store and Marvel Rivals, I like what they're doing thus far. They haven't shown anything different. Overwatch, they do the FOMO thing of there's stuff in the store. It rotates out, and if you want to get it, you're gonna have to wait till it comes back, which you never know. Nothing Marvel Wilds put in the shop has ever left it.
That's not true. There have been skins that have left
Oh,
it. Yeah,
there have been.
in season 0 there was like this mech skin for Captain America that kind of looks like the Manta skin from the Battle Pass. That one has
No.
been phased out of the store. So there,
Oh,
and all of the Christmas skins have left the store as well.
okay. Okay, I
So
haven't noticed
they
it.
are doing some of that stuff, but it like all of the main skins that people want, so aka the MCU skins, all of those have stayed in the store since the launch of the game, and they've even added more of those, like with the Thor skins. So
Yeah. So it seemed like more like the holiday stuff is what's, and it's a few miscellaneous one, but it wasn't as bad as Overwatch's, where it just
yeah, Overwatch changes their stuff all the fucking time, all the fucking time. So, like, I think probably once we get into March, all of the Chinese New Year skins, the 4 skins that they release for that, I think those will be removed from the store.
Mhm.
But for the most part, the skins that people want, the skins that aren't tied to a holiday, probably will remain in there. Like, they're probably not going to get rid of Marvel Spider-Man 2, the advanced suit. They're probably not going to get rid of that.
No,
You know,
no,
like that's one that'll stay in there. His Iron
yeah. And
Spider
so,
suit.
um, it's possible to keep the wedding stuff for Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm, since it is a more of a character driven thing instead of, oh, there's spring Christmas outfits.
I think they did put a date on it. I think it will go away
Uh,
the second week of March. I'm pretty sure. But again, it's a
okay.
holiday themed skin. I'm understanding of that. But
Yeah.
like for instance, right now in the Overwatch shop, there's these like cosmic skins. So they're like they have like these like star patterns on them. No reason to make them go away, but they will go away.
Yeah.
So yeah, Overwatch hitting some panic buttons. I wonder how desperate they truly are with the success of Marvel Rivals. But let's get into some actual sad news. There were indeed, as I talked about before, more layoffs over the last couple weeks. Um, we'll start off with Hi-Rez Studios, the makers of Smite and Paladins. They confirmed this week that layoffs would be hitting 3 subsidiaries, and games would just be shuttered, basically. So they laid off close to 70 people, um, uh, which is quite a lot. The CEO deactivated their Twitter account after the announcement was announced, so high class there. And they also announced that Smite 1, Paladins, and Rogue Company, 3 of their 4 games, would not be receiving any more updates, and that the focus would turn to just Smite 2, which is their most recent game. Um, in a Discord announcement, I'm citing a Game Rant article here. Uh, in a Discord announcement captured by Twitter user Hockey2001 via game developer, Hi-Rez Studios revealed that they laid off an unknown number of employees across Evil Mojo Games, Rally Here, and Titan Forge Games. It mentioned that the difficult decision stemmed from a challenging market and was taken with the long-term sustainability of these studios in mind. Interestingly, this echoed a similar statement issued by Rogue Company publisher Hi-Rez in October, because they laid off people in October as well. Moreover, the American company shared that its newly streamlined operations would focus on bringing new content to Smite 2 here onward, whereas the original Smite, Paladins, and Rogue Company will receive no further major updates. However, the latter game's server support is expected to remain in place going into the future, with Hi-Rez committing to keeping the game accessible as long as possible. So,
Same
yeah.
old corpo slap.
Yep. Although initially around 30 Hi-Rez employees had taken to social media to share that they'd been laid off, the number has since grown over the past week. Per the latest Insider Gaming report, the number of Axe employees could be close to 70. Notably, since facing backlash post the layoff announcement, the CEO of Smite 2 publisher Hi-Rez Studios, Stuart Chisholm, has also deactivated his Twitter account.
Howard.
Yeah.
I
With
mean,
Smite 2 only recently exiting its early access period and releasing officially on January 14th, Hi-Rez's decision to prioritize the free-to-play title's development is understandable given its newness. At the same time, it'd be interesting to see how long the American publisher can do that while still supporting the other online games. And from what I understand too, Smite 2 is the fans do not like it.
No. Here's
Uh,
the thing. I mean, I used to play Smite, a few years ago. I've that's fallen off. But when I first heard about Smite 2, I mean, it was okay. I was kind of like, okay, weird. Don't really see why. You can just keep adding to Smite. So all the gods that are in Smite 1 are not going to be in Smite 2. So people have to pay for those. And then the real kicker, so all your little costumes, the little crossovers they've done in Smite, they don't cross over to Smite 2 either. Even Overwatch didn't do that. Your skins in Overwatch 1 carried
yes.
over to 2.
Yeah.
Like,
Even better yet, they allowed you to merge your accounts. So all the skins I unlocked on my PlayStation, when they hit the crossplay button, I got the ones that I was missing that I had on PlayStation but not on PC. They gave those to me since it was the same account. So
that's horrendous. Like, could you imagine if Fortnite did that now? If League of Legends did that now? Like, you wouldn't want to play the League of Legends if they said, yeah, all your skins you bought in League of Legends 1 not going to carry over. All the characters not going to carry over.
I don't want to play League of Legends because Mel's is the most busted ass fucking champion in the fucking game.
Yeah, but that's a different
different thing.
but
Different thing.
yeah, but you wouldn't want to play League of Legends too if they were to do that.
Oh yeah, no. Especially since there's 170 champions.
Yeah. So, and that's exactly what Smite 2 did. Like, no, I don't want to play that. Like, and there's no excuse for it. Like, oh, we upgraded engines. Fortnite has upgraded from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5, and everything moved
nothing
over.
changed. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing got left out.
Yeah, it was the same client, so you can do that. You can do some engine changes. You got to bring on the game for a week to move everything over. Sure, but your people's stuff they paid for isn't carrying over. Yeah, no thanks. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's a live service game, dog. What do you think was gonna happen?
Yeah. So very very sad. By all accounts, Smite's, Paladins, Rogue Company, all of them had their player bases. Yeah, I don't know how necessarily how big, but like all of them had their player bases. I played a little bit of Paladins, like shortly after Overwatch came out, and it was okay. Not as good as Battleborn, but it got to live, and Battleborn had to die. But you know,
I say
I will always be bitter. I will always love Overwatch, as you can see behind me. I will always love Overwatch, but I will always be bitter for the fact that it killed Battleborn. Shout out to Battleborn. If you played Battleborn, sound off in the comments.
I
Maybe
was
we can
gonna
get
say
2K
that.
to put a server back up.
I say I don't think Smite 2 is gonna do well at all.
No,
And I am concerned because if Smite 2 goes down, what does Hi-Rez have left?
nothing. They said, like I said, like they're putting all of their development focus onto Smite 2. Smite
All,
1, Rogue Company, Paladins no longer will receive major updates. So
putting all
it's
their eggs in one basket, and those eggs are about to go splat. And eggs are expensive now, so that's not very good.
yeah, $6 a dozen, baby. But Hi-Rez was not the only company to lay off people. Iron Galaxy laid off 66 employees in a last resort effort to enable our long-term survival. Quoting a PC Gamer article here, Iron Galaxy, the developer of Killer Instinct Seasons 2, 3, Extinction, and Rumbleverse, is laying off 66 employees as a last resort to keep the studio afloat. For several years now, we have watched our industry undergo significant change, the studio wrote in a message posted on the Iron Galaxy website. So many of our friends and colleagues who work in the game development industry have suffered a series of painful adjustments. We've seen talented people lose their jobs, inspiring companies have closed their doors. Our own game, Rumbleverse, which was a wrestling battle royale that I think like people liked, like it didn't like review badly, was met with a premature sunset. All the while at Iron Galaxy, we've been making sacrifices to keep our teams intact It has been our hope that we could emerge from this long winter alongside all the teammates who have come to work with us over the years. Today, we're making the unfortunate announcement that we have run out of room to maneuver amidst this slow recovery. Today, Iron Galaxy is parting ways with some of our developers and our support staff. In total, we have reduced our employee base by 66 people. This was a means of last resort to us. It's a measure we do not take lightly to enable our long-term survival. Um, yeah. So,
I mean,
Rumbleverse, like they said, premature sunset.
mhm.
It only lasted 6 months before it was taken offline in February of 2023. But Iron Galaxy has also worked as a co-developer and support studio on numerous high-profile games over the years, including Skyrim, Overwatch, Uncharted, Fallout 76, and Diablo 3. Um, which
They
then
make these.
CEO Adam Boyle said in a 2024 interview with Game Industry creates more of a spiderweb sort of a support system, and that we try to have a myriad of partners and projects to to create a bit more stability.
And you also said they did Killer Instinct as well. I mean,
Yeah,
this one seems kind of genuine. Like this didn't seem like a corporal slop statement. This seemed like an actual like yeah, no shit's hitting the fan for us type of statement. So it's unfortunate. I mean, in Rumbleverse, obviously shutting down within 6 months of itself, that clearly something's going. Things are not going well for them.
yeah,
Which is super unfortunate.
and this is the only like layoff announcement where I feel like this company really did try to do everything else first.
Yeah.
Like they really tried. In the same interview, Boys also emphasized the studio's approach to transparency with its employees, including monthly Q&A sessions with Iron Galaxy's co-CEOs. You can't hide from the realities of what's happening in the industry, he said. If you're not talking about it, you've got your head in the sand, and if you're doing that, what are you? What kind of leader are you? Um, if layoffs ever occur at Iron Galaxy, it's not because it came out of the blue. You're going to see all of the decisions that we made along the way, and we're going to share with employees. So, heaven forbid if that ever does occur, at least staffers saw the process. So, yeah, that kind of language is not what you see in any of
No.
those layoffs. So, I truly believe Iron Galaxy did everything that that they could do to prevent this. Um,
I mean, it's again, it's unfortunate that Rumbleverse failed when it was received well, but it shut down 6 months. There's probably other projects, because they're a sports studio that are not panning out because I mean, they're not getting a lot of work done. Um, I'm still flabbergasted to this day that Microsoft hasn't given them a call saying, "Hey, can you do Killer Instinct 2?" Like, Killer
yeah.
Instinct is really well received, so like, it does seem like in a weird sense they were let down by the rest of the industry.
Yeah, I mean that's what it seems like. Yeah, they said despite the layoffs, their capabilities remain intact, and they will continue to explore new ways to support an industry we love and keep working towards its ongoing recovery. So, hearts go out to the folks that got laid off at Iron Galaxy in particular, because it sounds like the company did everything that they could do to prevent this from happening, which is not something that happens in the industry. You guys know as well as we do, reporting all of these layoffs. Most of the time, it's just somebody at the top that wants to increase their bonus. But this truly seems like these people were fighting it, and it just the industry didn't go their way. Which I mean, yeah, I mean, I feel like this is going to be something that's even more common. Is that these support studios, these smaller support studios, will either get absorbed by a bigger company and then folded into bigger studios, kind of like what happened to Vicarious Visions. They got folded into the Overwatch team and a couple other teams at Blizzard Activision, um, or they're gonna get shut down, because I feel like why pay an outside studio for what a studio in your network can do? So
Mhm.
so yeah, even though they
Yeah.
have a pedigree for working on some high profile stuff, it's just
It's bad news all around for him.
yeah. I mean,
That's
the Ubisoft layoffs that we reported on a couple weeks ago, one the Ubisoft Leamington was a straight up a support studio, and they shut it down. So, which means game release schedules are gonna be elongated. And
Already
that
getting
means
long.
budgets are going to be probably higher, and the fucking expectations on the games are going to be higher because the budget was higher, and then more people get laid off as a result. So it's just a
Everything.
mess.
It's just everything's spiraling down the toilet.
Mm-hmm. Where's Sven from Larian Studios to tell us how to get through this? Oh wait, he already has. Well, from one good CEO to a bad CEO, let's talk about EA. um, it's no secret here that both of us on this channel played Dragon Age: The Veilguard. It will be in both of our top tens for the year. I can promise you that. Where, what position? No one knows. But we both liked Veilguard, but we both understand maybe why some people weren't jiving with Veilguard. And it's no secret that Veilguard did not do well in terms of sales. We reported on it, I believe it was last episode. It just didn't do well, and now BioWare is suffering as a result. But the CEO of EA had a little bit more to say about the topic. Looking at the Gamer article here. This is just so fucking stupid. As we all know, Dragon Age: The Veilguard started off as Dragon Age Dreadwolf, and it was a live service game. And EA CEO Andrew Wilson has basically said that Veilguard would have done better if it was a live service game. Which is just so fucking
Just
dumb.
laughable. Just
Um,
laughable.
So on a recent financial call, Andrew Wilson said, "Q3 was not the financial performance we wanted or expected. We know as a leader in global entertainment, great titles, even when built and delivered with polished execution, can sometimes miss our financial expectations. In order to break beyond the core audience, games need to directly connect to the evolving demands of players who increasingly seek shared world features and deeper engagement alongside high-quality narratives in this beloved category. Dragon Age had a high-quality launch and was well reviewed by critics and those who played. However, it did not resonate with the broad enough audience in this highly competitive market." He doubled down on this by pointing out that a large chunk of the company's earnings have come from live service games, i.e., the sports games. If you've been following any coverage of Dragon Age Veilguard, you'll know that the community had complained about a lot of things. Even we had some complaints about the game. But live service components was not one of them.
As I said
uh,
last time, as I said last time we spoke about this, I genuinely believe, and this community is proving the pudding, this Dragon Ball had no chance to success. It was never going to do what they wanted to do. It wasn't possible. And to think that the thing that it's probably the main thing that prevented it from reaching where it wanted to go is the thing they think they would have saved it. Because I mean, its budget was probably super sky high because it spent so much time being a live service game, and then had to retool it back into a single player game.
yes.
Like maybe it just didn't do it in the first place. Veilguard could come out sooner, and also been made for cheaper.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this just reminds me of WB saying that even though Suicide Squad lost them $200 million, that live service is still the way. Even though the year before Hogwarts Legacy sold gangbusters and was not a live service game, like this is just such a gross misunderstanding of anything. Like, yes, most of your earnings do come from your sports titles that people idiotically buy and spend money on year after year. Yes, that's totally true, Andrew Wilson. But that doesn't mean that everything needs to be a fucking live service game. Respawn makes you a ton of money off of fucking Titanfall and Star Wars Jedi games. Not a live service. In fact, Respawn's live service game, Apex Legends, is the sore spot. I haven't played
Like
Apex Legends in like 2 years.
there isn't a whole lot of room for more live services. Yeah, Mobile Rivals is a newcomer, but it did it by beating the crap out of one that was already in that spot.
Yes.
And Marvel Rivals kind of did have a leg up on Overwatch because Overwatch was kind of harming itself, but it was the only game in town.
Yes.
But now they came in. But also there is another thing you give Marvel Rivals a leg up. Marvel.
Yeah, it's IP.
Yeah, so there's no way a Dragon Age live service would have ever succeeded. There's just no way. It's just not its audience, and its character. It doesn't have recognizable IP attached to it. Like, I don't understand why, in what world that would have answered their problems. The answer to the problem was you shouldn't have made a live service in the first place. They should have been able to spend more time because I guarantee there's probably some things that were rushed to the Veilguard's launch because they're like going, the budget's way too high. We need to get this game out the door now.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
the fact that Veilguard, as I said before, came out in the condition it was, considering the tumultuous development cycle it went through, is nothing short of a miracle. Most games with its story do not end up in the shape it's in.
Yeah. Yeah, because by all accounts, the game, I didn't really experience any bugs. I think I had to reload a save once because I got stuck like on some terrain, but like that's not that big of a deal. High quality game, not really too many technical issues. Like, what more could you ask for in this world?
Yeah,
Because lots of games don't release in that state and do better.
yeah. There's so just it's this is ultimately the biggest problem with the industry. Isn't the fact that there's some studios around like again on Galaxy they did fall on some luck, but go back to Hi-Rez. Smite 2 shouldn't exist. Smite 2 should just be all that's other Smite 2 should be in Smite 1. It's because a greedy CEO wanted bigger and better and just do that. Now they're floundering. I mean, I Destiny 2 is doing okay, but I don't think Bungie originally planned to do a Destiny 2. All that stuff would have been just part of Destiny 1, but at the time they were controlled by Activision, so Bobby Kotick wanted, and I want bigger and better. I want another sequel. So their little 10-year plan they had for Destiny 1 just got thrown out the window.
Yep.
Then it came true with Destiny 2 because they took over for themselves, but it's that same pattern, and it's just CEOs not understanding anything and just trying to vacuum up more and more money up into the upper echelons.
Yep. And there's only so much money that people have, especially in a world with record inflation and egg prices going up and all this shit. Like, people are spending less money, so like, and that means that they're being more strategic about their money, especially in the last 2 years where gaming has been fantastic. Like 2023 and 2024 were both fantastic years for gaming, with some heavy hitters coming out. I mean, you have 2023 Baldur's Gate 3 hailed as one of the greatest games of all time, in the same year as Tears of the Kingdom, one of the greatest games of all time. Like, in 2024, while not as good as 2023, still very, very good. Very, very good. So players are being more selective with their dollar. And if
Because
you're
they have no
not,
choice.
yeah, they have no choice, and as well as they should. Like, if you're not making 10 out of 10 stuff, like, or at least,
Yeah.
or putting the effort to make it a 10 out of 10 stuff, like,
Yeah. But I mean, like, to a lot of people, their issue is I can either buy 3 games this year or this month or whatever, or I pay my rent and buy one game. They gotta pay the rent, so they're only gonna buy one game. That's kind of where we're at right now. Everything, and it's all rent games, all being funneled to the top. That's a whole other can of worms.
but like, yeah, to bringing it back to Dragon Age Veilguard, it definitely shouldn't have been a live service game. I don't know who
No.
thought that was a good idea. And I think people should play this game. I hope that it gets kind of a second life when it starts going on sale a little bit and people pick it up.
Yeah.
That maybe we're hesitant on doing so, because the game is a competent game. It is a decent game.
Yeah.
It is a solid 8 out of 10 game. Like, if you're not willing to spend the $70 for it, that's totally fine. Wait till it goes on sale, because it will go on sale this year. So hopefully soon, because it needs some players. Let's get into some more Xbox stuff. Our favorite punching bag. Um, although we were kind to Xbox last time. We said nice things about Xbox last time. Um, and this is just kind of more 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 evidence that Microsoft is fully going into this third party stuff. Phil Spencer says that Xbox isn't trying to funnel players away from game ownership with Game Pass, and that players should play games wherever they want to, i.e., this is an Xbox. um, in a new interview with Xbox Era, I'm quoting the VGC article here. Microsoft's gaming CEO Phil Spencer acknowledged that players who wish to maintain large libraries of owned games and claim that Microsoft isn't attempting to funnel players away from ownership and towards subscriptions. Um, Phil Spencer said, "I think we've shown respect for people's libraries over the generations with backwards compatibility and play anywhere, and I want to continue doing that. You can buy every game that's in Game Pass. We're not trying to funnel we're not trying to funnel everybody into one business model. Play the games you want the way you want to play them. We obviously have run a good business. So we'll have our
Where have you?
pricing and everything that we do, but I want to make as many options as possible for the games that we have." So very clearly them saying that this is only the beginning for stuff that's coming. Um, because I mean, it's just they want you to play their games. That's ultimately what it is now. It's
Yeah.
not
I
it's
mean,
not that they want you to play their games on Xbox. They want you to play their games on wherever the fuck you are.
yeah. I mean, this is very much a statement of their third party now. Just, I mean, they're for I don't know why they're going with a boil boil the flock slowly type of thing. Doing this slow. Because I mean, they're right to the wall. We know what
Yeah.
you're gonna do. Eventually, you're ripping the band off soon. Those Starfield, I'm a little surprised we didn't see Indiana Jones or Forza get release date at the State of Play recently this past
Yeah.
week.
That was surprising.
Um, but they're gonna get release dates soon. At this point, it's to me it's a matter of when, not if Halo goes to PlayStation. Um,
Well, even further than that, I'm surprised that things like South of
Starfield.
Midnight don't have a fucking PlayStation 5 release plan already in place. Because again, that's one of those games that will do better on PlayStation than it will on Xbox.
Or
Like,
Avowed, which just came out.
which Avowed, which just came out, and from what it sounds like, probably could use the player counts that PlayStation can provide. Because if you thought Veilguard was divisive, Avowed is also equally as divisive right now. A lot of people are not really singing its praises. So definitely could use the player counts that a RPG heavy machine like the PS5 could provide.
I mean, I guarantee you. I mean, I'm because like for example, Metaphor had when its marketing was tied with Xbox. I guarantee Metaphor sold best on PlayStation.
For sure.
And even against on PC, even against PC players, I think it sold best on PlayStation.
Yeah. I would
Um,
assume PC is probably second place,
second,
and
second
then
place. Yeah,
Xbox.
PlayStation. I would say PC are pretty close, but I think PS5 won, and then Xbox down the bottom.
Yeah, I
it's
bet
not.
you it's something like in the ballpark of like 45% PlayStation, 35% PC, and like 10% Xbox, probably something in that rough
Yeah,
ballpark.
yeah. Um, and again, and this he says, we've shown we ran a good business. A dog, if you ran a good business, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
That's it. If you
you
wouldn't be in this position.
yeah, you wouldn't be saying how you're putting your games on as many systems as you can possibly put them on.
Because
Like,
he said statements like, I've seen people online trying to go, well, Microsoft's being nice. Sony should be nice too and put their games on Xbox. No, one, this is competition, and Sony's not nice to Xbox. Never have been. They don't
no.
need to be. Like, and right now, Sony has their boot on their throat, and Microsoft's still just stabbing themselves.
And
Like,
also, I want to dispel this rumor too. It's not Microsoft being nice. It's Microsoft wanting to make money because they spent
yeah,
69 nice $billion on a company, and they have to make that money back. And Xbox's strategy as it was never going to make that money back.
No. Like again, as I've said before, Sony fought the deal in court, but lost because they assumed Call of Duty could be used against them. But things have collapsed so fast for Xbox because of this purchase that not only Call of Duty they'll never use Call of Duty against Sony to make force buy an Xbox. Now they're just getting the rest of Xbox's stuff.
Yeah.
Like Sony came out ahead in this whole thing.
Yeah, because Xbox spent Daddy Microsoft's money, and Daddy Microsoft went, hold up, you spent how much now? And had to change Xbox's strategy to get it back. I mean, there was no other option.
Microsoft did not get to the size they are by playing nice.
Yeah, no, it's all about making money. That's what it is. So, yeah, Sony's not going to be quote unquote nice because they lose money in that. Well, I guess they wouldn't lose money because possibly more people, but
here's the thing: they would.
You've already won.
Well, you already won because I mean, if an Xbox player wants to play Helldivers, because Helldivers like the focal point of all this, the thing, they can't do it on Xbox. Yeah, you're by a PlayStation or PC, or get a PC, or at this point, you're on Xbox, get a PC. Like, what are you doing? But Sony's hoping you move to PlayStation, which we'll get into a second because we'll have the financials to talk about in a second. And it seems like a lot of Sony's moves did pan out for them.
Yeah.
But why would they just throw Xbox Helldivers too and get 70% of sale when you could force an Xbox player to, hey, you want to play Helldivers? Go buy a PS5 and buy a copy of Helldivers, and I get everything here, 100%. And you bought my console. They win in that strategy, and that strategy is working. They're not going to stop.
Yeah, no, they're not going to stop.
They Sony sees blood in the water, and they see a path where if they keep their boot on Xbox's throat, they can be the only dog in this lane.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what they want.
Yeah, and they're going to continue getting what they want because that's the only option now in Microsoft's mind for Xbox. This is the only option. There is no other option. You have to do this now because you spent my money and you don't have a way to get my money back. So this is what you're doing. It's like the trope in like movies and stuff where a person walks into a diner, they can't pay for the food, they end up washing dishes in the back. That's essentially what Microsoft is doing to Xbox now. Like, you made the mistake, you couldn't do it, I'm in control now. Like, and Sony's just sitting back fucking laughing their ass off to the bank.
Again, I've mentioned before, they actually got a good end of the deal with this Call of Duty stuff now. They were getting 20% from Activision and then how to pay them for the rights to have marketing and had to foot the bill for the marketing. They foot the bill for marketing. They're not paying anyone for marketing deals, and they're getting 30% cut now.
Yeah. And they're just, like I said, laughing their way to the bank. Laughing hysterically.
And speaking of them laughing at the bank, let's look at their bank.
Yeah, so Sony released their Q3 report, which is
October to December.
Yeah, November, December, that kind of area, the holiday season, basically. And they are actually raising their sales expectation by 4% because they had such a good holiday quarter. And they are also raising the expectations for their operating profit by 2%. So green across the board, baby, for Sony. I'm looking at a CNBC article here right now. Sony sold 9.5 million units of PlayStation 5 consoles in the December quarter, up from 8.2 million a year ago. So
That's
they
crazy.
they had a better holiday quarter than in 2023.
That's crazy. I was on that point. It's crazy to me because their 2023 quarter that year was crazy. I assumed they were going to go down because you had to come back down to earth, and they went nah.
No.
I mean, I think part of that help was the release of the PS5 Pro, despite people saying, "Oh, no one wants this thing." That number says otherwise.
Yes, I think the PS5 Pro definitely helped, and I think the strategy that Sony has been playing out, where it's like, hey, if you want to play Helldivers, if you want to play Astrobot, two of the biggest games of the year, buy a PS5. Because you cannot play PS5 games everywhere. This is not a PS5.
Nope.
It is an Xbox, but it's not a PS5. Um, so yeah, they have it, this being year 5 of PlayStation 5, they have a very good catalog of games that if you don't have a PS5 already, it makes it very appealing to get a PS5. Spider-Man 2, Astrobot,
Mm-hmm.
Helldivers, God of War Ragnarok,
There is
Horizon.
there is games on PS5, unlike that stupid meme out there that says it doesn't have game, which is the people who make that meme. People who do that meme. I'm curious if you know how to tie your shoes, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Because even aside from all the remakes and remasters, there's tons of fucking games on PS5.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, diving in a little bit more of the financial report, revenue, like just raw revenue, went up 18% year over year and beat pretty much every analyst's expectations. Operating income increased 1% year over year, and topped analyst estimates. So, um, really like, so the revenue piece makes sense because of the PS5 Pro, since it is a more premium price point, but the operating profit still being up is a really good sign. That means they're selling accessories and games and stuff like that, because typically you sell consoles at a loss, so, and you make back your money on games and accessories and that stuff. So,
This,
go ahead.
this tells me two things. One, it tells me why they chose because a few months ago they said they're going to split. This, I've read the name of the guy, but who was like, he's CEO of the hardware side of PlayStation, and then Herm Holtz will be the CEO of the studios. Now it's Herm Holtz still CEO of the studios, but now he reports to the guy who's in charge of the hardware. Makes sense. Um, because what these numbers are saying is, at the end of the day, PlayStation isn't about whether their money isn't about. I mean, it's about the hardware, and the hardware is what they really want to get you to. But it isn't about even making the games. It's about being the PlayStation Store, like Steam is. And that's why Valve doesn't make a whole lot of stuff. They just kind of kick back and you let the money come in from Steam. That's what Sony doing the PlayStation Store,
Yeah.
because that, and they're clearly getting that, just raking in that cash of people buying stuff. They got 30% of everything. I mean, I just bought Monster Hunter Wilds pre-ordered it. They're gonna get 30% cut of that. So I mean, yeah, their strategy doesn't seems to be working, despite everyone going, the sky is falling on them. It's very clearly not.
Yeah. And like I said before, Sony now expects its sales for the full fiscal year to be up 4% from their last forecast. Um, the company noted that sales in its games and network services division totaled 237.9 billion yen in the December quarter, growing 16% year over year. This was
Crazy.
bolstered by an increase in sales of both console and non-first party titles, including add-on content. So, speaking back to your piece about the PlayStation Store, it's raking in money, because growing 16% is quite a lot. Quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sony sold 9.5 million units of PS5s in this quarter, up from 8.2 million a year ago. That brings the PS5 total lifetime sales to just shy of 75 million units.
And I
So,
think what's crazy about how well this console's doing is the PS5 has not had a price cut whatsoever. Um,
I mean,
and
it's
the
gone on
PS
sale. It's gone on sale a couple times during the
it's got on
holidays,
sale, but I
but
mean like
not
a
a
permanent
permanent
price.
one.
At this point in the PS4's life cycle, the PS4 Pro had already been out a year,
Yes.
and it was the same price as the initial launch PS4. The PS4 OG had $100 permanent price cut already. The
Yeah.
PS5 does not have that. It only goes on sale rarely, but it's mostly $500. The Pro is $700. So, and they're only about 18%. They're 18% ahead of U.S. sales for against PS4 launch line, and they're about 2.2 million behind globally. And that's with a higher price point, no cuts, a pandemic that ruined everything at the launch. Um, so the wins was not at this thing's sales, and yet it's still hovering around. I don't know, PS4 did. And it has GTA 6 on the horizon.
Yep. Yeah. And two, um, in the second quarter of the year for Sony, they were down 22% year over year in terms of console sales. So they had some ground to make up and did make it up. So all around, I mean, high fives all around at Sony right now. PS5 selling really, really well. Sounds like if we've got a few more years left in this console generation, sounds like it might be able to topple the PS4's numbers.
I would I would expect it to at this point because if GTA 6 wasn't coming, I would say no. But I think GTA 6 will put it over the PS4. It'll take it
Yeah,
over the top.
that and there's still a whole lot of high-profile games still on the horizon for the PlayStation. Ghost of Yote, the Wolverine game, uh, whatever. The latest Naughty Dog game. I can't remember.
Intergalactic.
Yeah, Intergalactic, and I'm sure that Santa Monica Studios is going to fit in one more game in this console generation.
Same thing with Gorilla. I would expect them to finish there.
Yeah,
And then I've also heard in Japan right now that PS5s are selling really well right now in preparation for Monster Hunter.
yep, yep. Because
So
it's a fucking holiday over in Japan, baby.
I mean, Sony has Monster Hunter bundles in Japan right now,
hmm
so
hmm
they're not going to be slowing down anytime soon.
No, not at all. Not even close. So, very very good news from Sony. They are thriving right now and getting a little help from Microsoft to do
Now, I
that.
will say, I better not be hearing about no layoffs, Sony.
Yeah, I mean
With
that is
numbers,
true.
with these numbers, I better not be hearing about no layoffs
Yeah,
because you got the numbers. You're doing just fine.
doing just fine. Just fine. Absolutely just fine. Especially after last year where you cleaned up pretty much all of the awards and you did really well with sales with Helldivers and Astrobot. Like, we won't talk about Concord anymore, but like, yeah, better not hear any more layoffs. The Firewalk stuff made sense. I'll give you that. That still didn't want to see it, but it makes sense. After this financial report, hell no, you better not. Herman Holst, open invite to come on the show. we'll have great, nice questions for you.
So I don't talk to the media. What are you talking about?
Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, Matt Moody, come on the show. We will probably not be so nice. We'll still be nice. We'll still be nice. We'll still be cordial. We'll ask some hard questions. Lastly here, the Dice Awards happened this past week. Usually kind of another one of the big set of awards, usually a little bit more indicative of things than the Game Awards. We covered the nominees and we had some thoughts and stuff, but let's go over some of the winners here. I'm just going to quickly run through all the categories, all the major ones at least. Outstanding achievement in animation, Astrobot, Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Neva, and Space Marine 2 were all nominated. Astrobot won. Outstanding achievement art direction, Black Myth Wukong, Indiana Jones, Lego Horizon Adventures, The Plucky Squire, and Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 were all nominated. Black Myth Wukong won. Outstanding achievement in character, 1,000 Times Resist, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Indiana Jones, Indica, and Hellblade 2. Indiana Jones won. Outstanding achievement in original music composition, Astrobot, Helldivers 2, Monument Valley 3, Hellblade 2, and Star Wars Outlaws. Helldivers 2 won. That was one of the contentious ones when we read through the nominees, because like, where the fuck was Metaphor? Or Final Fantasy for that one, for that matter. Outstanding achievement in audio design, Frostpunk 2, Helldivers 2, Monument Valley 3, Hellblade 2, Still Wakes the Deep, Helldivers 2 1. Outstanding achievement in story, 1,000 Times Resist, Indiana Jones, Metaphor, Still Wakes the Deep, Thank Goodness You're Here, Indiana Jones 1. Outstanding technical achievement, Astrobot, Batman Arkham Shadow, Indiana Jones, Hellblade 2, Space Marine 2, Astrobot 1. Action Game of the Year: Batman Arkham Shadow, Black Myth Wukong, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2 Stellar Blade, Helldivers 2 1. Adventure Game of the Year: Thousand Time Resist, Animal Well, Indiana Jones, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Prince of Persia Lost Crown, Indiana Jones 1. Family Game of the Year: Astrobot, Cat Quest 3, Little Kitty Big City, The Plucky Squire, and Super Mario Party Jamboree, Astrobot 1. Fighting Game of the Year: Blazing Strike, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Mortal Kombat 1, Chaos Reigns, Tekken 8, and Underdogs, Tekken 1. Racing Game of the Year: there's only 3 nominees, F1 24 1. RPG of the Year: Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Dragon Age the Veilguard, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Like Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor, Metaphor 1,
As
thankfully.
expected.
Sports game: MLB The Show 1, Strategy Sim, Blatro 1, Immersive Reality Technical Achievement, Starship Home 1, Immersive Reality Game of the Year, Batman Arkham Shadow 1, Outstanding Achievement for Independent Game, Animal Well, Balatro, Grun, Indica, and Mouthwashing were all nominated. Balatro 1. Mobile Game of the Year, Balatro. Online Game of the Year: Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred, Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, Space Marine 2, Helldivers 2 1.
Very
That's a
interesting.
little
Even more
surprising to
rival.
me, in my opinion. Outstanding Achievement in Game Design: Animal, Astrobot, Balatro, Helldivers 2, and UFO 50 were all nominated. Astrobot 1. Outstanding Achievement in Game Direction: Thousand Times Resist, Animal Well, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Riven, Thank Goodness You're Here, Animal Well 1, giving Donkey his first big award win there. That's cool. And then Game of the Year: Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Helldivers 2, and Indiana Jones were all nominated. Astrobot was the winner. So,
We've gone over the nominees on a previous episode, so I won't comment on that. I mean, very clearly, though, there was a favorite running through this entire awards, and it was Astrobot again.
and Indiana Jones and Helldivers. Both of those
Yeah.
racked up multiple wins. Indiana Jones was nominated the most, but it only took home 3 awards, it looks like, out of the 9 that it was nominated for, I think. Yeah. Astrobot ended up taking 2.
There was a few times you said it there. I noticed that.
Astrobot took home 5 awards, and Helldivers took home 2, 3. And then Helldivers also took home 4 awards. So, Sony cleaning up. But Xbox getting quite a few in there. So
Yeah, I mean, good for Indiana Jones. But I mean, at this point, Game Awards and the Dice Awards have given Astrobot Game of the Year, so I mean, it's pretty fair to say Astrobot is 2024's Game of the Year. I mean, deservedly so. I'm not. It's not gonna be. I don't think it'll be my Game of the Year once I sit down and go through the list for mine, but it'll be up there to the top. Um, but I mean, yeah, it is a fantastic game all around. Uh, One thing Sony said from the financials, which ties into this, due to all the awards Astrobot has won, and how well it did, they're going to start looking at doing more family-friendly games. So, because really it was just Ratchet and Clank holding that fort down. Astrobot's coming to help now.
yeah.
But maybe a return of Jack and Daxter, Parappa the Rapper, Ape Escape, Sly Cooper.
So I wouldn't say Jack and Daxter, because that series started off as family friendly, but then quickly became not. But I would hope to see more Sly Cooper. But I think my biggest pick would be for them to. I completely just lost my train of thought. What were the other titles
Oops,
that you said? Parappa the Rapper.
Sly
Ape
Cooper.
Escape. Ape Escape. That's the one I wanted to bring back. Is Ape Escape. I think Ape Escape could be really really fun, especially with the DualSense controller.
Oh
So
yeah,
for those that don't know, a little bit of history for you. Ape Escape marked the release of the first DualShock controller that had the two analog stick. Prior to that, no analog sticks. But then Sony made the DualShock controller with the two analog sticks, and Ape Escape was the premier game that utilized the two analog sticks, and you had to have a controller. You had to have a DualShock controller to play it. So now that we've come so far that the DualSense controller does so many stuff, Ape Escape would be the perfect game alongside Astrobot to really utilize all of the technology that is in these DualSense controllers. Um, so yeah, Ape Escape would be my go-to. Unfortunately, I believe Ape Escape was developed by Japan Studios, so uh, it'd have to be another studio to
I
get
mean,
in there and do it.
maybe because
Yeah,
maybe
Ape Escape was developed by Japan Studios. Yep.
the new dude who in charge of PlayStation, the PlayStation CEO, the guy who took over for who's now officially taken over for Jim Ryan. Maybe he could see within to reopen it or something akin to that. Um, because you need some more of these games. You know, you need some more of these type of small games, and Ashbot is leading the charge. Um, because
And
one, as I said, fantastic game, deserves accolades. Um, and it really is. I've noticed. I'm not sure if you've seen the commercial they put out for the PlayStation Portal. But the commercial they put on the PlayStation Portal recently, it's Astrobot front and center. All the characters like play anywhere. You can and like you see like these little funguses growing. It's on a plant, and like there's little Astrobot versions of Joel and Ellie. Like, so they're doing the
yeah,
mascot. So I I hope Sony does move forward with that because I mean, as I said before, Sony is not really known for doing platforms. So when they do them, they don't miss.
yeah.
So I would hope so. I would hope that they do more of these.
Yeah, and like it'd be the perfect time for Ape Escape to come back because as we saw in the state of play with the Metal Gear Solid Delta trailer, they're bringing back the Ape Escape mode that was originally in that game. So like I think that Ape Escape stock is high. People have always been asking for more Sly Cooper games though, so that would be an easy one as well. Um,
I think what would help with what would be beneficial with these games is like Astrobot. These aren't very expensive to make.
no, they're not.
Like so cheap to make, easy return, and it will fill in some of the gaps because they know that they're big blockbusters like Spider Man. The time it takes to make them are getting a little bit longer.
Yeah,
So use these. This is Nintendo strategy.
yeah.
Smaller games, plug the holes.
Yep. I mean, and like, so, like, if Sucker Punch wanted to return to Sly Cooper after they finished Ghost of Yote, they could knock out a Sly Cooper game in like 2 years, like guaranteed,
Yeah.
guaranteed. It'd be nothing. It'd be nothing compared to doing Ghost of Yote.
No. Yeah. It goes to take a lot longer.
um. So yeah, no, I'd love to see. I'd love to see more of a commitment to family friendly games because you're right, exactly right. When Sony releases a platformer, whether it's getting Spyro and Ratchet off the ground, and Crash off the ground, in the '90s to Jack and Daxter and Ratchet on the PS2, like, and Sly Cooper as well. Like, they're always fun, they're always engaging, they're always a good time. I mean, hell, Astro's Playroom, the pack-in game with the PS5, is excellent.
Hmm.
So, an Astrobot is just a evolution of that. So, um, yeah, it'd be really great to see more of those more of that style of game. To kind of help plug in those holes, but I want to see some revivals of some franchises, for sure.
Hmm.
Parappa the Rapper seems a little bit far fetched. I don't know how well it would do in this landscape. But like a new Ape Escape, I think would do extremely well.
I mean, and this is me wishful thinking, but I think a good strategy to do is try again with PlayStation All Stars. This time do it right. That you could use that as a vehicle to get to, you know,
You do have some more characters to utilize now as
yeah.
well
So, but
because you didn't have Aloy before.
yeah, where I mean, Joel and Ellie just came out like right as PlayStation All Stars was wrapping up. So you Last of Us characters, they could probably pull some strings, get Spider Man in there.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Um, so I think it would be a good idea to use that as a Trojan horse to kind of get people interested in Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, and all these other smaller friendly games. And I don't think a Smash Bros. S game, if you do it right, I don't think it should cost that much.
Yeah, I would agree.
Don't go crazy like realistic graphic. I don't like a Mortal Kombat game. Just go cartoony Smash style and call it a day.
Yeah.
I think it'll work.
And it would be interesting to see some of these like high res realistic characters in a different art style as well.
Yeah.
As
I
long
mean,
as it's
Snake's
as long as it's an appealing one.
Snake's a realistic looking character, and he has a good art style in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, he translated perfectly fine. Yeah, super recognizable. Didn't really lose any part of himself. So there's no reason that some of these other characters like Kratos or Aloy couldn't be effective. I hope
Yeah.
though you're asking for something that you may not necessarily want, because I can think of one character that you wouldn't want that I guarantee would make the roster.
Probably Abby.
Abby.
Maybe. I could see. I could. I mean, I think Ellie is the character they pick for Last of Us rep.
I would
And
imagine
then
they'd pick several characters. I imagine you would get Ellie from Last of Us 2 and Joel from
Joel.
Last of Us 1, and then Abby from Last of Us 2.
It's possible. I don't know.
Abby up against Kratos punching each other.
I mean, so if I do that, I don't. But I don't know. I don't know if they'll give them 3 reps or not. But that's neither here nor there. I just hope do a Smash clone type game and do it right this time.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean there with it being like an avenue to some of these other characters. It definitely could be cool. Definitely could be cool.
I mean,
it would fit in with.
You have Astrobot to be the mascot right there.
Yeah, he'd be the lead character. He's your Mario. Use him. The only problem with that is there's a lot of characters that are wrapped up in licensing issues. Like you'd want Crash and you'd want Spyro, and both those are over at Microsoft now. But I guess PS5's an Xbox, so maybe Microsoft would be happy to lend
I would
over.
imagine. I would at this point. I would imagine Microsoft be okay with it. I mean, they gave Banjo and Steve to actual Smash Brothers, so clearly Microsoft does not care. So someone went, "Hey, I want Crash and Spyro for my game." Cool.
And maybe they can negotiate with Disney, and Sora can be part of the base roster.
Oh God, Sora's in both.
Sora's a PlayStation character. You
I
cannot
mean, you're
tell
not
me
wrong.
otherwise. You cannot tell me otherwise.
Same thing with Cloud.
Yeah, no, 100%. Same thing with Cloud. Cloud should be in there too. 100%. 100%. I 100% agree with you. And here's the thing too, though. I want you to think about this. My favorite game of all time, favorite Final Fantasy of all time, Final Fantasy 9. Main character, Zidane. He's never not been, like, in the game's releases, he's never not been not on a PlayStation. Because there's 3 games that he's been in. Final Fantasy 9, the original Dissidia Final Fantasy, and Dissidia Duodecim. Final Fantasy 9 released on PS1, the Dissidia is released on PSP. So in his releases, he's only ever been PlayStation character.
I mean, I know you're like
he's not
about
the only
it,
one, but I am calling it out.
There is rumors of a Final Fantasy 9 remake being in development, so
it's either going to be the greatest day of my life or the worst day of my life. There's no in between. It's either going to be they have just kept the original game and gave me HD shit, or they've completely changed the game. And so it's either I'm happy or I'm killing myself. There's no in between.
My God.
There's no in between.
But my point was,
it's either my favorite game is saved or my favorite game is ruined. There's no in between. I can't just be middle of the road on this one.
My point was, marketing, characters getting sent into a fighting game for marketing reasons, like Clive and Final Fantasy and Tekken. Thing like that happens. They could go with, well, since Final Fantasy 9 remake's being done, we're gonna put this, add character into the game. So he's the Final Fantasy character that gets into the fighting game.
That could be either a really, really great thing or a really, really infuriating thing, depending on the outcome of the Final Fantasy 9 remake. I cannot stress this enough. There's no in between. Absolutely not.
One day you'll get your answer. And it may not be the answer you want. You'll get the answer.
I simultaneously am so excited and am filled with so much dread all at the same time. It's Schrodinger's game at this point. It really is. It's either my favorite game, renewed.
I mean, you'll be there day one to play it. Ruined. You'll be there day one to play it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. for sure. And
How
I
you
will be
feel
so
about it, though?
excited and so apprehensive all at the
You're
same
just
time.
judging every little moment.
Yeah, I am. I am. Depending on, I'll, you know, I'll probably, this is 100% probably how it would work. I will sit there and play both versions simultaneously to see
My
what
God.
they've changed.
Judge
I'm willing to do this.
everything.
But before we get more in the weeds, that is gonna do it for this episode. Let us know in the comments. What do you think about the growing state of not the growing state, but the state of the video game industry? Do you think these layoffs are justified? They never are, but let us know what you think in the comments. What do you think about the DICE Awards? Who's your game of the year? I promise the game of the year episode for us is coming. I promise. I promise. I promise.
Almost there.
We also
I'm almost done with it.
We also got to
I'm
film a
almost done with
review
it.
sometime too. So there's lots of content to look forward to on the Games Culture channel. And with that in mind, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, like the video, send it to a friend, do all those things that helps us out here a ton.
Hit all the buttons.
All the buttons at once. Just slam down on your keyboard or phone. Something will happen. I can promise that. And until next time, we'll see you in the next one.
Adios.